Hey, welcome to vosNET-Cyber. I'm VosMan, and today we're doing video 3 in the OwnCloud installation series that I'm doing for you guys. Now, in previous videos, in the first video we did ESXi, we got that up to date and ready to go where we needed it to get up to, where I wanted it for this series. And in the second episode we did an Ubuntu 20 OS install virtual machine. So that's got everything, all the foundations lined up and done. Now if you need to go back and check those videos out, be sure to go and do that so you can follow along in this series. And in this video for now we will be installing the LAMP stack, which is the Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP stack, which basically underpins everything that OwnCloud needs to run. So we'll go through that step by step on the box, and then we are pretty much good to go to get into the next video, hopefully to get OwnCloud installed and configured and up and running, and we will be finished. Excellent. So with that all said, let's jump on that box. Okay, so yeah, here we are on the box, my OwnCloud server box now. It's a fresh install, as we've already talked about, and I'm using Git BASH, which I've mentioned before, I believe. I'm using that on Windows because I prefer it, because it gives me a nice terminal experience. But obviously you guys can use whichever SSH client that you want to use, so Putty, or maybe even go through the ESXi web GUI. It's up to you how you want to do that. So yeah, we're on the box. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to up my privilege to root with sudo bash, just because it makes life easier in doing all of this stuff. So what we're going to do, we're continuing on with basically installing a LAMP stack. We've already done really the first part, which is the L, which is the Linux part, which is the underlying OS, which we've got on here, which is Ubuntu 20. So let's move on to the next letter, which is Apache, which is going to be our web server. And so to install that, we will do apt install apache to -y. Now I've already done this, so it's a little bit quicker for us. But obviously you'll see everything go off and download all of that stuff. So once that's done, you will now be able to check with the Ubuntu firewall, see what packages we have installed. So if we do a UFW app list, you can now see the Apache Full, Apache Secure are now installed on there. There's profiles for those. Now I believe Apache, the first profile is just for HTTP only on port TCP port 80. Apache Full does both HTTP and HTTPS on port 443, and Apache Secure is just for port 443 HTTPS. That's that profile. For now I'm just going to be using HTTP. Later on we might go ahead and do an extra and configure for SSL as well, so we can do that a little bit later on in the next videos or whatever coming up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to configure the Ubuntu firewall now to allow HTTP access to this box using the Apache profile. So we can just type in UFW allow in Apache. So there you go. So it shows you the rules are updated, and if we do a UFW status, it's currently inactive. So if we do a UFW enable, we'll click yes for that. It should be fine. And now if we look at the status now, there you go. You can see Apache is already on there. In fact, actually, whilst I'm here, I'm going to UFW allow in open SSH, just in case. So if we check the status of that now, so there we go. You can see Apache is allowed, and so is OpenSSH on both IP version 4 and version 6, and we can double check that as well with a SSTLMP, which will list all of the listening TCP ports in numerical value and the associated processes. And as you can see there, yeah, port 80 is our Apache server there listening, and OpenSSH is on all listening on all interfaces, version 4 and version 6. We don't actually have an Apache listening on IPv6. As you can see down here, it's not listed, but if there was one, it would listen to it. It would allow it on there as well anyway. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the Apache web server for now. That's pretty much everything we need, I believe, for that. I mean, what we could do to further confirm everything is working as intended, I'm just going to hit Control-L now and clear the screen. What we could do now is just quickly, actually before we do that, let's get the IP address of this server, which is 10.0.0.56. So we can copy that over, and we can just switch over to a browser now, paste that in, hit enter, and there we go. We can see that the Ubuntu default web page is visible. So all good so far. So let's switch back to our terminal. And yeah, so we're pretty much there really for the Ubuntu, the Apache now. So let's move on to the next letter, which is M for MySQL. So what we want to do now is, back on the terminal, is type in apt install MariaDB server. I believe MariaDB is a fork of the MySQL server, which I believe most people are now using for OwnCloud. I think it's what OwnCloud recommend as well, actually. So hit -y for that. And again, I've already installed this, so it's already on the server ready for us to configure now, just to save ourselves a little bit of time. Now, once yours is finished, the best thing to do now is to type in MySQL _ secure _ installation. I believe it is installation. So this will run the secure installation script for MySQL databases, basically. Allows you to configure the right passwords, and it'll delete default stuff that you don't really want on there for security reasons and stuff as well. So let's go through that. So let's hit enter, and as you can see here, it gives you loads of prompts and everything. So in order to log into MariaDB to secure it, we'll need the current password for the root user. If you installed the password will be blank, so you should just press enter here. So we'll press enter. Okay, successfully used password. Moving on, setting the root password ensures that nobody can log into the MariaDB root user without proper authentication. Shall we set the root password? And we will. Now, what you're going to need to know, or you should know, is that the root password for this is not the system root password for a start. It's going to be the root user for the SQL database. So it's completely different. And best practices are that you will set a complex password for this. Now, although you won't technically be using it, because what will happen is the way that it's default set up, I think it's Unix socket or MySQL socket or something like that, that's used as the default login. So when you type in sudo MySQL, it'll assume that you're root and log you in as the root user. If it was changed to being as configured to log in with password, you would need the root password then. So it's actually quite secure. It only allows people that have root access to the server, really, or sudo rights, to be able to log into the database. So it's quite secure. It's not a problem, and it's quite common. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to configure my own root password. I'm just going to save it into a password manager, so I'm just going to do that, but I'll do that off screen so you don't have the password obviously for that. So MySQL root password. Okay. Okay, so I've got that in there now, so I've pasted that in. You won't see it there obviously, and I will paste it in again the second time. Excellent, so that's success. So basically, once you've done that, you can just pretty much answer yes to everything after that. So we'll just hit W for that. I hit Y for that. By default, mirrored comes with test. Anyone can access, also intended for testing, and should be removed. So should we remove that? And yes, we do want to remove that. And so it just basically walks you through the process of making sure everything's secure. So yeah, reloading the privilege tables, ensure that everything's so. We'll go to that, and there we go. We are now configured with the MySQL database. That's pretty much getting there now. So we can, if we type in MySQL, there we go. And as you can see, if we type in MySQL, you'd probably need to type in sudo if you aren't already root. But as you can see, we log straight into the database without password. Because, like I say, by default it's configured that way. If you are root or use sudo MySQL, then you will log in as the root user. And we can have a look on here now, show databases. And as you can see, there's no database, it's just the standard default databases. So that's all looking good. And again, to confirm, we can run that now. And we can see that listening on local port only, local host only, is MySQL, which listens on default port 3306. So we know that's all working now. So all we really need to do now is log in is to configure the PHP side of things. And I'm just going to check some notes to see what we actually want to do. So I'm going to check on OwnCloud's own pages to make sure we've got all of the correct stuff that we need. But really, I think all we need for this at the moment is if we just apt install, because we just want to get the PHP bits working, we're going to install PHP lib or lib apache 2 -mod -php and php -mysql -y on that. Okay, so all of that's already installed, so it's all good, so it should be working. We already looked at the default web page, so that was working. What we could do is if we quickly switch over to var /www HTML, if we drop into here, this would be the default folders right now for the default Apache web page. What we could do is if we could just quickly do an info.php, we should be able to set up a PHP file here, PHP info. I think that's right. Control X that. Don't think we need to. I don't think we need to restart the server, but let's switch on over to the browser, and if we now type in /info.php, there we go. As you can see there, we've got the PHP info page there now. So we know that the web server is now running the PHP, and it's working all good. Apache web server is working, and it's dealing with PHP requests as well. So everything there for the LAMP stack is pretty much done. We are ready to go. And the next steps really will be to get the OwnCloud server software downloaded and installed and configured, really. So there we go. I don't think there's anything else we really need to do. I think that maybe just as a quick check, we could quickly run an update. Right, okay, so that's not working at the moment. This is because I'm root, so let's jump out of that. My update script runs there, so we can just basically make sure everything's up to date and all done with the new packages that we've installed. Well, that just about wraps it up, I think, for this one. That's got the LAMP stack now done on this box. It's got Linux, which is the Ubuntu OS on there. It's got Apache on there, which is our web server. It's now got the MariaDB database on there now as well, which is the offshoot of MySQL database, I believe. And we've now got the PHP packages on there that we need as well for now, which means that Apache is now handling PHP requests, so the whole LAMP stack's ready to go. So all we need to do now in the next video is get the OwnCloud server software downloaded and installed, configured. There'll be some more packages and bits and pieces that we need to configure and download and install on there, but we've also ensured that the Ubuntu firewall is also configured to allow our Apache HTTP requests coming in, the web requests coming in. So it's all looking pretty sweet so far. Yeah, so anyway, I hope this video was interesting at least, and maybe informative, and if you're following along, I hope you are making progress along with me on this one. Also, be sure to check out vosNet Gaming over on our sister channel. There'll be a link for that in the description as well. Yeah, that's about it, I think, for this one. So you stay safe out there, be good to each other, be kind, and I will see you in the next one. This is vosman, signing out.